Now in this video, I'm going to show you how to paint stylized eyes for television, casual video games, and animated TV shows. We're going to start out with a blank canvas with a neutral gray tone, or a skin color tone actually. When drawing for like animated TV shows, or even for like casual games with very simplified looking characters, you want to keep your eyes extremely graphic and extremely basic. Let's start out painting on a new layer, and I'm just using any brush. I'm just going to kind of loosely draw out the eye shape. I'm not going to think too much about it. I want to keep it very simple. Just the basic outline of the eye, the pupil, and an expression. When designing for television or casual games, we want to keep the eyes as expressive as possible. These very simple shapes should be able to read happy or sad or crying. This set of eyes is going to be kind of frowning, and I want to kind of just get that to read from my eyes alone. I'm very loosely drawing out my eye, and I'm not thinking too much about whether the drawing is clean or whether it looks good. This is simply for me to know where everything is. And also, after we kind of do everything in the brush, we're going to start on another layer, and I'm going to show you how to use the pen tool. The pen tool is going to be able to give us very thin, defined lines that are going to be very crisp and are going to be very clear and are going to be perfect to use on television because they're nothing but big blocky shapes. They're not going to have any painterly kind of strokes on them or anything. So you can select the pen tool from your toolbar on the left. It kind of has the fountain pen icon to it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to basically draw a line from where the beginning of our eye is all the way around it to the eyelashes. Once your path is laid out, you can hit right click and then edit and stroke path. Make sure that you have brush selected. Earlier when I had drawn the line, I realized that my brush settings still had a lower opacity and a lower flow. So I moved both of them to 100%. Now my line is much more defined. I also made sure that the spacing was in 0 and that there was no softening, so my brush didn't look very airbrushed. Right now it has a nice crisp hard line and is going to be exactly what I wanted. So continue drawing the pen all around the eye. We're basically going to outline the whole thing, even including the pupil. Now I have created a keyboard shortcut for this action that I have, where basically every time I make a path with my pen tool, I basically just hit this keyboard shortcut on my keyboard and instantly the line is made. This way I don't have to keep clicking on right click to basically get the line to show up. You can do this on your own by going to Edit Keyboard Shortcuts. Now I keep hiding the bottom layer of my drawing because I want to make sure that the arch of this eye is perfectly round. Right now it has a few jagged edges and that was hard for me to see at my drawing below. So I've hidden it. You can do this by clicking on the eye icon in your layers menu, and that will basically make the layer next to it invisible. Now I want to create my pupil. I'm going to use the ellipse tool on the left to do this. If you click on the little circle on the left of your toolbar, or it could even be under the rectangle tool or whatever, but you make sure that the circle ellipse tool is selected. And then basically draw a shape around it. On the top, you want to make sure that the stroke line for this is on and that the fill line is off. You can see this on the top menu bar item. Now let's draw in our pupil. What we're going to do is we're going to take our brush, make sure no shape dynamics is selected, make sure the opacity is completely full as well as the flow, and we're just going to draw in our eye. Just put a basic pupil there, put in a blue outline, and then a nice big black iris in the middle. This is done very fast and simply and doesn't need too much thought into it. Now I've added in a sharp round highlight to the eye. Very different from the previous tutorial where I really had to like look in the mirror to add in my reflections. But in this case, we're just going to keep it very simple and very graphic. Now I'm going to paint in the back part of the eye. We're going to do this on a different layer, which I'm going to move below my pupil. Now I've just basically selected like a light blue, and I'm using my brush at full opacity to color it in. And I know in the previous tutorial I had said that, you know, it's got to be like the same kind of skin tone or the same color as, you know, our skin around us, and that the eyes don't really stand out. But when it comes to doing it for television or for casual gaming, you want to kind of make it as obvious as possible and let the eyes stand out as much as you can. A lot of times you'll notice this stylistic device being used when you see children's TV shows. The characters always have to tend to have these very big pupils and these very big, very basic looking eyes. And this is usually how it's done in television, because this also makes it very easy for animators to be able to animate. If there's too much information, it's really hard to get these kind of things to move frequently. Now let's start adding in a little color. I'm going to put in a blue for the pupil area, and what we're going to do is we're going to kind of make sure that it's on the bottom layer, so that it's below our outline drawing. Now let's add in the main line that's really going to kick this eye up a notch. I'm going to put in the line for the eyelid, and it really kind of emphasizes the frowning expression of the eye. And now when I duplicate it and flip it over to the other side, you know, remember, go to edit, flip horizontal, and you can look at both the eyes together, and now basically it's really cool. They look like these two very frowning looking eyes staring back at you. Now let's put that set aside, and let's do another pair of eyes in the similar process. This time I'm going to make them very round and doe-eyed and very childlike, and also a little more fantasy. I'm going to give it like a weird purple colored pupil. I'm going to do more than just, you know, one of these tutorials, and that's because I want to just show some variation in the shapes I'm using, just to give you an idea of how stylistically you can go when it comes to television and casual games. You can really use the medium to get your message across with just very basic shapes. We're going to begin with making a big black circle with your brush. Alternatively, you can also use the ellipse tool like I'm doing here. The ellipse tool is really cool because basically it makes your circle, or it leaves your circle as a shape, which means that you can edit the shape and the color just by clicking on your color palette, or with the, you know, if you look on top of the menu, there's a few items you can adjust, like the fill and the stroke of the circle. You can even rasterize it so that it's flat by right-clicking on this in the layer menu, but I just wanted to show you your other option. Like, notice how I can change the size, and I'm not losing any information where the lines will become blurred if I make this circle big or small. It's essentially like a vector image. Now I just want to add a touch of pink to the corner of my eye, just to kind of heighten the fantasy element and to also show you the different variations that you can approach this medium. Now I want to add in a big purple circle in the center using the brush method again. Then let's add another pinkish purple colored circle in the center, and then we'll add another smaller iris in the middle of that in a much darker color. And now let's add in the reflective highlights. Let's add in a bluish colored shadow at the bottom using the brush tool. We're going to kind of just draw it in, very like loosely gliding my pen across the circle to get this very relaxed shape around it. You know, I'm going to give it a couple of tries until I get one that I'm happy with. Alright, I like this one. Now let's add in some lashes on a new layer. Select the pen tool from your toolbar, or you can hit P on your keyboard, and draw like a C shape, like a half moon shaped line going across the left side of your eye. Make sure that the layer is at the bottommost layer behind your outline, behind everything. That way it won't show over anything. And just by adding these lashes, it instantly gave my eyes a feminine touch. This is such a basic shape, and these are such graphic details that even with such simple shapes, you can get such a big message across, and the eye can look so expressive. Now I'm basically going to take my entire grouped layer and I'm going to duplicate the entire group. You can do this by clicking and dragging the entire group folder to the new layer icon at the bottom of the layer window. Then you can hit Edit, flip horizontal, and kind of have the eyes facing each other. And there you have it. Now we've made another set of eyes. Now let's compare the two side by side. On the top we have these very kind of angry looking frowning eyes, and at the bottom we have these very innocent doe eyes. And now let's do a final set of stylistic looking eyes. And now let's draw a new set of eyes that are sad. We will use the pen tool to make like the basic outline of our eye shape. We're going to use a similar shape to what our actual eyes look like, and I'm just going to draw around loosely with my pen and give it this very curved graphic kind of shape. Instead of hitting Edit Stroke Path with our mouse button, instead what we're going to do is we're going to right click in the middle and we're going to hit Make Selection. Now we have a marquee outline around our eye, and then I'm going to use the paint bucket tool to fill the entire thing in black. You can hit G on your keyboard to instantly get the paint bucket tool. I'm going to use the pen tool again to draw in the eyelid crease. This is really going to emphasize the sad look of our eyes. Using the pen tool again, I'm going to draw a very short line below my eye. This kind of reflects the baggy, wearied look that we would see if we looked in the mirror after working a long, hard, tiring day. Now we're going to draw in the inside of the eye. Again, I'm using the pen tool and I'm making a basic semicircle shape around the inside. Then again, we're going to right click, make selection, and then fill this again with the paint bucket tool. I'm going to fill it in with a nice light blue color. And using the brush method again, I'm going to make a nice big circle with full opacity, full flow, no shape dynamics, and just drop in a quick pupil in the center. We're going to also go ahead and do another one in the middle, and then another one that's the same dark shape as the first circle, and then finally our black colored pupil. Just lay them all one on top of each other. You can choose to do this in a separate layer, or you can just do it on the same one, it doesn't matter. And of course, let's add in our reflective highlights as well. Let's draw in our darker blue on the corners of the eye. We're going to use our brush to kind of just make these strokes in. And now again, let's duplicate the entire group by dragging and dropping it over the layer icon. And then let's hit Edit, flip horizontal, and then look at our eyes side by side. After I made the group, I also hit Command or Control E on my keyboard, and what this did was it merged all the layers that were in my group into one layer. This is also a way you can do it. This will reduce the file size and everything, so you don't have to have two fully fledged out eyes. And now when you look at them side by side, they look pretty cool, right? We have a frowning pair of eyes where the front part kind of faces down and the top part of the eye is up, and that way she looks angry. And if you kind of flip the eyes the other way, they look sad. And then we have our doe-eyed, sad, overly fantasy looking eyes. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to make similar looking eyes, but in the style of Japanese animated characters. They're a lot more stylized and a little more stretched out looking.